After a dramatic 2 days, we have 2 teams remaining, and we are here on the final day of the HGC North American playoffs, where one team will go to BlizzCon. Dreadnought Team Freedom seemed to pick up a lot of steam at the end of yesterday. They're going up against the Titans of North America's Tempo Storm will look to make another appearance at BlizzCon.
Not only is it the steam gained there by Team Freedom, but I can't help but feel like a lot of respect after sitting 2 games of dominance against them by Octalysis and sat at a breaking point with a 3-level deficit in game number 3, and then somehow recovered there and then sweep the remainder there of that series. That for me shows a level of mental strength and adjustability, like ability to adapt kind of on the fly here for Team Freedom that we haven't seen in a long while. And you can tell they are eager and hungry to try and be that 2nd seed representative for North America.
We'll take a look at the standings before we go further into this so you can see how this is broken down, because with Team Freedom picking up that victory yesterday, they actually climbed over that number 3 team of Octalysis to find themselves against Tempo Storm. Heroes Hearth did claim that BlizzCon spot by having the best record here in North America. But the 2, 3, and 4 teams that we had, Dread, those were all 3 teams representing at BlizzCon last year. It's crazy to think that only one of those 3 will be there again this year. And here's how the bracket is played out with Endemic versus LFM. Freedom came in, said, Endemic, this is enough of your run. But as you already said, the reverse sweep for Team Freedom was the talk of the Twitterverse and everywhere else, the social medias, everywhere on Reddit. Everybody was talking about that series. It was dramatic, it was crazy, had one of the most, I don't even know how to explain that ending with the tickle factor on the core. Just so many crazy things happened yesterday, but today, the finals, Tempo Storm and Team Freedom. Dreadnought, you mentioned the comeback yesterday. Everybody knows, but Zugrug on that team, the Blaze games, the Diablo games, it seemed like when he was ready to go, the team went with him.
And I think that's a really big thing to point out here is that for Team Freedom, in their first series against Endemic, was able to get away with showing very, very little. And then we got to see for the first time their ability to adapt to some of the wild drafting strategies from Octalysis, and they made it look extremely good in some cases. I think specifically, I look at their Dragonshire draft yesterday and their ability to handle the Samuro Abathur offlane pressure and understanding the wing conditions with the Lutano pressure in the bottom lane showed that they are very much coming in with a large amount of game plan and, again, ability to react on the fly here. So I am very impressed with what we've had from Freedom so far, and I think that that might be enough, because Tempo, if I was sitting back for a whole week, I expected this to be Octalysis, so suddenly a little bit more for them here, after only having 24 hours to recover.
Tempo Storm has not had to show anything for a couple of weeks, so that is something to consider here as much as they have planned. We don't know what to expect, but we did talk to both of these teams to get their thoughts on this final series here in the playoffs.
So going against Team Freedom, I'm pretty confident against them. I personally feel like we have a much easier time playing against Team Freedom than we do against Team Octalysis. I think that they are a fairly predictable team in terms of how they draft, and we pretty much know all of their drafts very well at this point, so I think we'll be heading into the series ready for everything that they have.
Tempo is always a tough team to beat, especially in the playoffs here with us being the away team for the series and them seeing our drafts that we've been running in the previous series this weekend. Tempo has been our main competition like forever, so beating them to take the BlizzCon spot would be a pretty big deal. Qualifying for BlizzCon again would prove that we are one of the best teams and that working hard all season together as a team has paid off for us. This series will be a 5-game series and very hard fought by both sides, but I think if we can get the drafts and the heroes we want, then we should be able to take it.
The drafts and the heroes they want seem to revolve around Zugrug, with Lutano taking over the drafting duties. We have seen some changes, the Gul'dan starting to creep up to try and counter certain heroes. Lutano, it seems, to me, it's like, look, you're so good that you're trying to put everybody else in the best situation. I would love if Lutano's like, let me do this one time. That's all I need from him, because he has that potential. But this team is starting to come together. Whenever they find their meta, it works. But Tempo Storm, Dread, they have not shown anything in weeks. So for most of us here, we saw them start to bring in the Arthas, start to play around the Maiev quite frequently. But with all of the changes we've seen towards the meta in the last few weeks, I don't know. I mean, if there's scrims out there, they've got results from that. But overall, in terms of the meta, I think everybody that shows up today to watch, it's just a bunch of question marks until this series gets underway. And you mentioned the adaptation improvisation. Freedom's going to need to do that.
Yeah, they are very much going to need to do that throughout this series here. And I feel like that's a good point to point out, is that Tempo Storm really hasn't had their back against the wall almost ever here, it feels like, in North America, outside of maybe weeks 5 and 6, kicking off the very beginning here of Phase 2 of North America. So it's not surprising that it's kind of this question mark moment. But with what we have seen from Freedom, I do think that they have shown that they very much have those tools. But looking a little bit closer at Tempo, specifically, I feel like there is one player that I can't help but feel like is going to have a lot of weight on his shoulders here, and that's Vin. If you're Vin, you're walking into this and you're saying that this is your moment to prove that maybe you aren't the potential problem, if you will, right? To a certain extent for every team in North America, you know, that meme kind of going around is that you just want to prove that because of the roster changes that came in with Psalm stepping away, that you are going to be that one who makes sure that Tempo Storm keeps being the North American representative internationally. And if he starts getting picked on by Freedom, I want to know if he has that strength to be able to stick up with the squad and still be that follow-up player.
Let's find out. Let's get this series going. It's time to figure out where Battleground number 1 will be. So we'll see the bands, Tempo Storm. They'll take away Sky Temple. Team Freedom will take away Braxis and Tempo Storm. When they have map pick, you know they're taking us to Dragonshire. That will kick things off here in game number 1.
And I really like that we're going to be starting with Dragonshire, because this is the best battleground here for Tempo Storm. The only team that it seems like really can bring the fight to them on this battleground consistently is the number 1 seed in North America, Heroes Hearth Esports. And though we did get amazing drafting from Freedom, it was adapting to the off-lane first pick Abathur with the Samuro in the first half of the draft from Octalysis yesterday, and that their ability to adapt here is going to be very different. Octalysis is the only team in NA who looks for that top lane pressure at all as a win condition on Dragonshire.
Let's get things started. Dragonshire draft underway. Dreadnought, when Team Freedom had their rise, it was Phase 2 of last year, their run to BlizzCon. They've been at the top of North America or near the top ever since then. When these two teams have faced off, it's been 6 series going into Phase 2 last year, Phase 1 and Phase 2 of this year. They split the series even, 3-3. So this is a highly competitive series for both as we get the Genji and Abathur bands to start things off.
Gotta be wondering about the Maiev and whether or not that's something that Freedom is afraid of here at all. It got them a lot of problems from Octalysis yesterday in games 1 and 2, Justing, putting on a clinic there. And Tempo Storm is no, you know, it's not like they're a stranger to the Maiev play, especially with Fan kind of having moments of being able to play over onto that. It's going to be Deckard instead, making the Medivh Maiev trade-off here in the early, and also the support chokes. Very interesting here.
I think what we saw yesterday kind of unfold was if you are going to pick a Tyrande up or something, well, instead we're getting the Maiev because we have seen teams most notably use that Maiev into a Deckard route and just follow up CC combo, but Maiev will be picked up by Team Freedom. Fan lately had been killing it on Maiev, and this is a battleground they did it on. I wonder what they'll adapt to. They used to go to something like a Thrall. I wonder if that is in the cards here, or whether we get
bold move. This already screams double support in some way, shape, or form, but is it with a white main here? No, it's going to be with the Tyrande pickup very, very early.
Oh.
So who is the hyper carry out of this with the Uther pickup? That is the biggest question I'm looking at right now here for Tempo Storm. But the biggest thing to highlight, J-Hal, moving with the Uther Tyrande on Dragonshire and your 1-2. No wave clear at all. You are miles behind in that avenue, and that can be capitalized here in the 2-3 from Freedom. I'm expecting something like a Johanna would be a great pickup. Synergy with the Maiev, deals with the double crowd control of Freedom, and gives yourself that wave clear.
Well, there'll be the white main picked up by Team Freedom, recognizing that with Tyrande and Deckard already off the board, go ahead and grab that. You can use those hashtags in chat, TS or TF, depending on who you're rooting for. You can also get out there on Twitter and tweet at us using that hashtag HGC. So whether you're in one place or another or both, go ahead and show us what you think, or tell us what you think. Who's going to win and how is what I want to know, because right now, Uther Tyrande, I mentioned Tempo Storm. I don't know what to expect. I have no idea.
And now that they're banning out the Arthas, which they were the team kind of building that, you know, prowess there with Cattle on the Arthas as a response and synergistically with the Maiev here. So huge deviation from Tempo Storm as we do get the Diablo ban coming out. So what are we going to see paired now from this point? And also, I'm still going to ask, who is the Divine Shield target going to be? Because this is not usually that Vala support all-in playstyle with a Tron to Uther. You need yourself like that Tassadar and more short cooldown healing to help her have that hot pursuit impact.
Well, we know the Arthas sprung up yesterday for Team Freedom. Tempo Storm had been playing it recently. Uther on top of an Arthas, you want to get those auto attacks out. It will be the Vala. Is it the Vin Vala or is it the Fan Vala? Will Fan be flexing onto one of these supports? Will it be Caterpillar on Uther? We've seen so many of our Warrior players switch over into this double support role on something like an Uther to be more of the battle Uther on the front line. Fan's Vala, one of the best that we have, Trey.
It is one of the best, and I will always bring it back to, you know, Fan being a big fan of Jing Shen. That was the Vala hyper carry back then. It seems like he very much kind of channels his inner Jing Shen to whenever he gets on that hyper carry. So we'll see if that is the case as we get the Anubarak and the Junkrat. Junkrat still rising in popularity here in North America as a response to some of that siege capabilities into the earlier stages and that off-lane wave clear. Not a surprising composition here from Freedom, but we're still yet to see if there's even a Warrior out from Tempo, or do we go with the Zul?
If it is, it feels like Johanna or Zul would be likely, because you need some additional wave clear with this last pick, and it will be the Zul. So continuing to diversify the drafts here in North America, the Zul will come out, does provide the wave clear that you desperately need when you pick an Uther in Tyrande. Now has very good single support healing in this department. I am curious who Zul does get the lockdown on. Yrel starts to get locked down, maybe get a leap away if that's available. Anubarak has the burrow charge. You'd like to save that for an engagement, but he can survive certain circumstances. Maiev has the iframe with the vault. Junkrat, he's clear somewhere else. So the limitations, I think, it's going to be around Zul getting the clear, enough wave clear to force out rotations and catch somebody pushing up in a lane to maybe get some type of lockdown, and Vala try and be the executioner.
Yeah, I find this really interesting here from Tempo Storm to be able to commit to this. Again, it's not the rest of the composition isn't that surprising. It's just mainly the Tyrande and the Uther together, because Uther's cooldowns are so long that the Divine Shield's the best in the double support meta, but you need somebody to always have that little bit of heals, and if Tyrande's not getting auto attacks off, she doesn't have that immediate cooldowns necessary to be able to help her very, very fragile HP pool here. And so I actually like the comp more, I think, here from Team Freedom overall. But that being said, again, we have not really totally seen Tempo Storm whenever everything is on the line, and it very much is here today. So I'm sure that they have something in store here with such a bold opener in this draft.
Well, let's get into game number one here, Dreadnought. I'm ready to go. It is Tempo Storm versus Team Freedom. Winner goes to BlizzCon. The other one, well, they do not, Dreadnought. They've got a very long winter ahead of them.
And in the blue is Tempo Storm with Glarong on the Dahaka, Caterpillar on the Zul. We have Vin playing the Vala this time, not going to be Fan. He is over on Tyrande in June, supporting the squad on the Uther.
Right out of the game, just getting a few things squared away before we get things underway. It's important to note, for Tempo Storm, they actually have 4 members. It's roommates of 2 and 2 for this team. They have 4 members all living in one complex. Vin, he's only about 45 minutes away. They are so committed to making this work. They actually have a boot camp going. They have all 5 members in one area trying to make this go to get things started. We'll get back into here as we introduce Team Freedom. So Tempo Storm putting everything they have into this. On the right side, Team Freedom. Collusion will be on the white main. Lutano will be on the Junkrat. Zugrug on the front line with the Anubarak. Nasmus in that solo lane on Yrel. And Yoda, he'll be on the Maiev trying to set up and make the plays.
Spell Armor is the pickup there for Fan at level 1. Not going to have the opportunity maybe to stop the Impale if that is going to be a problem throughout this game.
There's the super fast wave clear of a Zul composition. Dahaka rotated to the top while the rest of the team getting these fast rotations. Junkrat is good at defending and clearing the wave, but nowhere near with the speed of what we'll see from these Zul comps. So it will be fun to see how much they can make happen, as we already see a rotation up towards Glaurung.
Yeah, and that is something that you may see a little bit more if Team Freedom addresses the fact that they think they can't recover at all within this 4-man itself. But the fact that they rotated up and didn't hard commit to the gank potential itself, this is a major tempo setter in favor of, conveniently, the aptly named Tempo Storm.
And it's all about showing the white main is okay, but once you show the Anubrak, you've really shown your hand, as they're going to try and get the wave clear out, as Yorel will get rooted there. See if we get another attempt there, as we see Tempo Storm already prioritizing the siege camp. They picked that up just 15 seconds, 20 seconds after that 1-minute timer. See if they can make some more happen in this bot lane.
Freedom, again, showing some interest with the transition towards the top lane. That means that Freedom, in the long run, is going to be looking for that mid to late game top fort pressure and then taking advantage of that rather than this common pressure on the bottom half of the battleground from Tempo Storm with the double mercenary stack already going for that. As the interrupt there onto Glorong as Yorel claims top, but it comes at a cost, Jayhow. And this isn't a problem yet, but if this keeps going at this cadence, Tempo Storm is going to be able to pull ahead pretty heavily here, just based on that Zul wave clear alone.
It's going to be Lutano sniffing out the camp pickup here at the bottom. It's the night camp picked up in the rotation again to the top. When I brought this up for a while because it was something Zugrug told us at Western Clash about. They watched the Korean teams. They watched a lot of what they were doing. So he came out, he was on the Murd and getting different picks, playing around Fog differently. But one thing that you and I watched when we were prepping and at the Eastern Clash was using the Anubarak to prioritize that top lane. The problem is they use the Junkrat to defend that bottom lane. This is very Korean-esque. They use the Junkrat to defend the bottom lane, but they're giving up so much in the wave clear, and the way these camps are picked up, they're not exactly netting the same style of value.
I think the biggest thing to point out is the camps. It's okay as long as your opponent is not getting free camps or that it's costing them something on the other half there, but it very much isn't. Tempo Storm is making a lot happen here as Glorong already burnt the burrow. He has only a brush stock to be able to make it out here. There's one crowd control. Impale's got to be saved in case
only one beetle.
Z ends up coming out. Yeah, one beetle remained. There's another one. Glorong still dancing around, but Jayhow, that was all calculated. Glorong wanted that. He knew that it would cost him his life because the trade of this fort faster than that of top is going to continue this pressure in the bottom lane. And as we know, mid-game pressure on that bottom half, Tempo Storm gets earlier keeps than any other team here in North America.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this, there's only 2 of the ranged minions there, and they haven't even taken down the top fort. They'll rely on Nasmus to inevitably get that as the drag comes in, or the tether comes in while he's rooted. Fun interaction there, but with Tempo Storm on that mid lane, or in the mid-game pressure, Dread, the double camp from here on out, which could come in very early in this game, is super scary.
That was a great Lunar Flare combo there from June and Fan to get that gank. It didn't net anything, but it was about as good as it could possibly get for a double support squad. Initiation, Junkrat gonna claim the bottom shrine now here for Team Freedom. Yoda able to make his way out and get that follow-up. Not going to totally claim the bottom half, but Dahaka, Glorong there, making his way towards the mid lane, questioning if they can set up a potential gank. Tempo Storm is going to be waiting this out until the next double camp opportunity, and that is when likely I expect them to strike once more here on that bottom lane siege and more towards that Dragonite potential.
Yeah,
which there it is.
The siege camp right on time. They were making it over there right as the timer comes off. Cattle will be the priority target #1. He's going to get tethered backwards. Some heals come in. The cleanse is there as well. See if Cattle can stay alive. He's trying, but nice concussion mine by Lutano. That's actually going to net kill #2 for Team Freedom.
And Jayhow, that means a lot for Team Freedom. It's more than just a kill. We were just talking about the offlane pressure and how it came down to the mercenaries and if they're getting them for free. Tempo, for the first time, is now receiving some of that pressure that they need to apply if they're going to be successful with that mid-game top lane rotations from them. Now with the Night Camp behind this, as long as the bottom lane Giants are going to be dealt with effectively, with the Junkrat should be able to do so, this is Freedom's opportunity to take that top fort. This is the moment that they have been prepping for the first 5 minutes of this game.
Well, Team Freedom, they find themselves with a half-level lead. If they can play out this game for the next few moments, they can start to make a play towards that level 10. They're going to use both of their camps. With that top lane down, Dread, the call for Team Freedom right now with this should be
backdooring on bottom. It's you pick up bottom, it's a Dragonite. It is very much that they have set themselves up for this DK, and it's even better because they've timed it around 10 spike. This is near 100% Dragonite if the rotations are clean from Team Freedom, which is why Urel's gone the way down. This is perfect. It is honestly... I tried to say that kill over those Giants meant a lot more than just a kill in the early stages here for Freedom, and it's what's setting up for this Dragonite. It forces a brush stock from Glorong, and that is a huge cooldown to keep track of there, and they know it now.
Yeah, if you could see The way Dreadnought is signaling with his hands, I know I can see those that clockwork. It's starting to tick. The wheels are turning, and Dread is sitting here. He's seen it. He's done it 1,000 times, and we see Team Freedom. Dread, it's not like they did it in a 15-second time frame. They did it in a 30, a 60-second time frame. That was all calculated, set up. The minute they started to get that 8.5 advantage, you could see their wheels turning too. It's so beautiful to watch when you can see a team execute the way that they do.
It is, but Tempo has had a pretty good response, and here comes the breaking point for Team Freedom. They've only got a Knight stack on bottom, which doesn't get the siege effectively that they want here, which leads to a Yrel backdoor on top, and this is where that brushstock cooldown is back up, and so now Tempo has a brushstock counterplay over whatever Shrine Freedom most likely going to be bottom, has the opportunity to double control and pressure out. This is going to be a tense couple of minutes here now for Freedom, but if they're successful, we'll have a major advantage.
Yeah, Yrel came in. You know it's on right now. There's the Cocoon out. Here comes the Warden's Cage as well. The Riptire's going to land. D-Shield forced out as we got ourselves a full-on team fight here, Dread.
Yeah, look at the Rain of Vengeance coming through along with the drag there. Dark Swarm onto Yoda, but he's going to kite away and able to heal. Nasmus leaping over the wall. Now suddenly he's surviving, but Collusion out a little bit too far because of all that healing. Oh my, Vin tracking it down. He will eventually get the kill here. First kill for Tempo Storm. But Freedom held on a lot longer in that retreat than I can't help but feel like most expected. Now Tempo Storm with a window will be able to threaten a Dragon Knight once they force back Yrel in this top lane because of that control they have over bottom and the Night Camp on top.
Two of our best here, Dreadnought. Team Freedom making the macro plays. Tempo Storm says this is our best battleground. We're going to make our own. And these teams are throwing down here in game number 1. As we see the contention for this top shrine, Zugrug and Nasmus holding point, starting to get some support as we see Vin and Lutano trading out there. Lutano got to be careful he doesn't get turned on. We know how much damage a Vala can put out, but he measured the cooldowns on that. Was able to turn it around.
Yeah, that was honestly a rare profitable trade in favor of the Junkrat, considering Vala was not stacked onto a minion wave. Hot Pursuit normally would allow her to juke those mines well enough there. Vin questioning for a second if he maybe wanted to try and flank with the Rain of Vengeance. Initiation as Yoda and Cattle in a bit of a quarrel here. Top Shrine still in control here for Team Freedom. Bottom lane, Fort down on their side though. With this backdoor over this bottom shrine, that's going to give an opportunity over the next couple of seconds for Tempo Storm on this battleground. Freedom missed that window over that last initiation, Jayhal, and now Tempo is back into control of the shrine phase.
Glaurung came in. Zugrug said, I'm out of here. He said he didn't want any of this. Using that Brush Stalker to get out of there. Camp now spawning here on the side of Team Freedom. Only a small lead now. 13 close, but not close enough to keep Tempo Storm away. Nasmus is going to be rooted, locked down, stun after stun. The true shot was used. Nasmus stays alive for the moment as Collusion trying to keep him alive. That buys enough time as we see the Ardent Defender come out. Now the Riptire in response to get the first kill of this fight.
Yeah, the Riptire coming over the wall, getting the one shot on Vin was enough as the Divine Shield is still available. Glaurung has to go the other direction here. June not in position to give him a Divine Shield if he'd like to do so, which is why he's moving up. Has it all available. Has a stun too. There is Yoda questioning if he can find himself a tether. And Jayhal, the Riptire from Fog was too much for Tempo Storm's double support to react to. A very big advantage here for Team Freedom. And I can't help but feel like a large reason they are able to win that fight. We wondered why the Divine Shield, why the Uther so high in the rotation. And between the Vala and the Zul, the last two fights, that D-Shield has been paramount to their survivability, which also great Sentinel wear there to make sure that Dragon Knight channel is completed.
It's like, I got this. Don't worry. Just keep channeling. Walks right in, picks that up. DK picked up here at the near 10-minute mark for Team Freedom. They push down this mid lane. Bottom wave being amassed down there, but Cattle on that Zul does make quick work with clearing that, or mostly gets the root down on to Nasmus, so some damage comes out. Nasmus almost tracked down June there, trying to take advantage of his level 7 pickup.
Keep track of Glaurung there in the top lane on his Dahaka. Once this fort falls down and they move past that top shrub next to June, likely a brush talk opportunity or to the far right, which is why you see Lutano set down his trap there. June now joining the rest of Tempo Storm as the Dragon Knight falling down to 30%. Will be able to secure the fort. Mission accomplished here for Freedom. Fort on top, fort eventually here on bottom as it still has a fragment of HP remaining.
Yeah, they've got some long distance poke. They know that's there for when they need it.
And the biggest thing there is now Tempo Storm has 0 defenses in either of the crucial lanes, which Freedom has been able to capitalize on top better than most.
Dread, the night camp started. Siege Camp 30 seconds away. Does Tempo Storm have enough time to maybe double play this? Instead, Team Freedom says, hey, look, we're used to the way that you play. They come up and deny that.
This is really well done here by Team Freedom for this offlane pressure. And it's one of the few teams, Jay How, I've been begging for offlane or top lane pressure in the mid game from North America for some time. And now it's at a point where now that we get to see it, I'm just questioning, does Freedom have what it takes to be able to fully close out in this game? Because right now, they've done a great job of stopping Tempo Storm from being the 13-minute Dragonite team that we know that just runs rampant through the bottom lane. They're perfectly playing it, but they need to continue it here.
Now, very few teams have managed to take down Tempo Storm on this battleground for quite some time. So getting a start here, Team Freedom, they're a slow starting team. They've admitted it before. At one point, they were something like 2-8 in game number ones during league play. They picked up a few victories yesterday, got off to a slow start, but this is no time for slow starts. This is trying to make plays happen, and Collusion gets the lockdown with the root there. The tether comes back, but now we've got the skeletal defenders. They're coming out. The root just clipping there, but the Junkrat Riptire in response will buy some time and space as Team Freedom treks away.
The biggest victory there for Freedom was the fact that Isolation actually came out during that rotation, didn't end up landing, so that's going to now set them back pretty heavily over the Brushstock Isolation big play over the next couple of seconds, and Dragonite phase up. Freedom questioning if they can get the invade over their own camp here. Concussion Mine is down to kind of threaten back Tempo Storm. And the 16's very close from both teams. Bottom lane will give the 16 to Tempo Storm a little bit faster because they're going to get the clear, and that's going to zone out Team Freedom here from this choke.
June, the stun into the drag into the root, but the burrow charge out will be enough to keep Zugrug alive. Attention turned over here towards this bottom lane as Nasmus will eat some damage and a stun coming out by Vin. Cattle getting some damage in, but there's another root. See if we get a follow-up. Yoda comes in with the tether dread.
He gets the tether, but no follow-up impale available for a second. Nasmus out maybe too far, but able to juke there onto the Lunar Flare. Sidewall taken off the table. Max range drag. Land from Glarong, but again, no one in range to get that damage output. Mainly the Vala. She is the core of this. As you see Yoda flanking on the side, and J-How, when he goes in with that Warden's Cage, Tempo's quickly going to want to try and retreat.
Riptire is the key. Riptire's now off cooldown. He's going to go ahead and rip it. Zugrug short on that, but here comes the Riptire into the Warden's Cage, but we see Maiev is actually going to be the first one down. And Ubrak will use that cocoon, but the isolation onto Collusion, trying to track away, but there goes the lockdown as Tempo Storm comes in with a double kill. They're going to look for another as Nasmus is locked down for now. Ardent Defender has been used, but Tempo Storm, they're bringing the heat.
And now they're getting the threat onto the keep, and that is what they have wanted all along here. Still 22 seconds until Yoda's going to join in. Out of minions, but not going to be too big of a problem as another minion wave spawns. Cattle and his passive would have the opportunity to get rid of it. Glarong now going to get the Brushstock towards top, pick up that shrine. Somebody has to make their way towards mid right now if Tempo Storm wants this Dragonite, because Glarong, very low in HP, has to deal with Lutano and friends. Going to walk away right away. He's probably going to struggle here. I'm surprised they didn't get a little bit more aggressive, but at least deny here this top shrine.
Here comes Tempo Storm. They're making the rotation up. Urel on there. No Ardent Defender used for this, and I think Nasmus might have overstayed his welcome. The drag is going to land. He tries to get the leap out. The stun comes down. Finn and Fan on the bottom side of this. They pop that True Shot aura. They're going to get the lockdown, and Nasmus first to fall. Team Freedom staggering another death.
Great job here by Tempo Storm taking advantage of that rotation. Glarong said, well, if you aren't going to play aggressive on me, and then wait a minute, you're going to back out and not stay as a group, I'm going to capitalize there. Yoda trying to capitalize those. We get the Riptire along with the Cocoon. Drop down. Bit of damage out. Tempo Storm still threatening this Dragonite.
Oh, just missed on that drag. Glaurung has been nailing it this game. Nice impale onto that 3 with a concussion mine in response. That buys time, but we're still times away for Urel to get here. The channel started. They don't get the interrupt, and that is another DK. This time going over to Tempo Storm.
And with the bottom keep already down, Tempo Storm likely to just siege away over mid. If this takes too much damage, use the downtime to make sure you secure the top 4 and win the race to 20 so heavily that Freedom can't find it for another couple of minutes. And at that point, J-How, I believe we're going to be rounding the triple play over Mercenaries on bottom, and that is where Tempo can look for lethal with 20 advantage and the triple Mercenaries.
We've seen them do it before. We'll see if they can do it again. The defense here by Team Freedom trying to keep this DK at bay, understanding that it's the 20 tier. The bottom keep is all that's necessary for Tempo Storm to find ways to end this game. And all that was set up from the early going, the early outset of this game number 1.
It's a small silver lining and a unique one, but with that well available on bottom, if they keep this pressure over mid long enough, that well will stack multiple catapults, building more likelihood of early game pressure onto the core. Faster than it normally would here for Tempo Storm.
Oh, Zugrug and Yoda are coming in. There's the cocoon out. They've got the lockdown. Riptire's coming in as well as the Warden's Cage, but that gets knocked away. Zugrug, he's going to get isolated there. He's going to be the first one to die. Collusion, he's going to be next.
Collusion ends up going down here too, and those catapults I was talking about building on bottom, Tempo Storm realize it, and they're going to join them. Mercenaries not available, not needed. With the 20 advantage, Yoda's got to be the last man to stand, go in for a big play here if they have any chance to recover, as Tempo Storm has made their way onto the core of Team Freedom. Shielding removed. Still minions yet to join in as they end up getting the kill as well onto Uther, but June's back. He's got the redemption. He's just getting out those heals. Tempo Storm take on Team Freedom here on Dragonshire and dominantly take game number 1.
We saw the focus by Team Freedom in that top lane, maybe an overcommitment in the early game because Tempo Storm, they prepped that bottom lane, and it was inevitable that they would find another push in the bottom. They got that, and ended up being a win condition a little earlier than maybe Team Freedom would have liked. Zool coming in there with top damage across the board. That's what you like to see from your traditional tank player, moving over to the Zool frontliner.
And bringing it back to that last skirmish before things kind of went down, if anybody's wondering why that turned so sour so fast for Team Freedom and the desperation is June actually self-divine shielded just to make sure he didn't get cocooned so he could join the rest of the fight, help him make sure he got the fight. It was legitimately the last possible second he could have done it there. And that was one of the few cases that's actually a good call. Double support, you can get away with self-divine shields rather than just desperation divine shield the other way. It's a time and a place type situation, but either way, June pulling out on top, and Tempo Storm take a pretty convincing game number 1. I know I say that, and it's like, it was competitive for a lot of it. I think bringing it back to Team Freedom did a lot of things right to stop some of the pressure that we normally see Tempo Storm get, but at no point were they threatening any form of lethal. It was keep up with Tempo. Okay, we responded good. Can we get a win? If not, Tempo really was able to creep ahead, and that's what Tempo always does towards Dragonshire. It was just a little bit slower than normal.
We heard Team Freedom the last time they played them. They picked Dragonshire themselves. They said we might as well give them the best battleground, give it a shot, get it out of the way. It's like ripping a Band-Aid off. We'll go to game number 2 in a moment. But first, let's take a look at some of those tweets that have been coming in during that game. Lauren Wu, I'm still so stressed out from watching that Fnatic versus Leftovers playoff. Big congratulations to Leftovers, by the way. That final, that I don't know whether my heart can withstand Tempo Storm versus Team Freedom. Dreadnought, after yesterday in North America, I don't know if I can stand today, but may the best team earn their spot today.
I think that's the beauty, is in the end, we don't have to decide. The results are going to speak for themselves. And as we get from Smelly Danielle, number 1 there, I am so nervous for Tempo Storm today. Let's do this, boys. Let's go to BlizzCon. Hashtag HGC.
You two can get involved with your hashtags. TBK. He's my Varian, by the way. This is my Varian while I Abathur hat that Twin Blades all day. All eyes on this Team Freedom and Tempo series. After this weekend, anything could happen. I agree. I'm expecting a very back-and-forth matchup. Dreaded, we heard from Zugrug. He said the exact same thing. He expected a 5-game series between these two teams. That's how competitive it's been historically between them. Last 6 series, 3-3. They just trade back and forth over the last year plus. It's a very good back and forth for 2 of America's best that we've had here in NA.
Yeah, it is going to be really cool, and I do agree that it could be possibly competitive, but I still look at this and I go, Freedom has a responsibility to show that. You know, we talked to Lutano yesterday, and he's like, we still got more in the tank. I want to know what that looks like here. First draft, I feel like they had moments when it came to the gameplay very much to be able to deal with it, but when it came to the entire picture, I still feel like it failed to lack a punch, specifically Nasmus rotation towards top and not trying to kill Glorong. That was, for me, the game-breaking moment, and it showed, I pointed out, do they know how to execute to close out that kind of off-lane pressure? And it felt like that was a clear no. And so I'm suddenly going, Tempo seemed to have your number on Dragonshire. You know, on other battlegrounds, maybe Shrines, can you recover there?
You know what? Team Freedom has a favorite battleground, Dreadnought.
That's why I said it.
Yeah, it's Infernal